All right, it's 4 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning, welcome to the program. It's a beautiful Monday. How are you doing? Are you happy the way I am? If you're not happy, remember everything begins here. If you want to be happy, it's all in the head. If you want to be sad, again, it's all in the head. But hey, let's all be happy. Today being the 19th day of August 2024, welcome to the program. I have got a full packed kind of a show today, and of course I'll be discussing matters to do with devolution in the spirit of celebrating 14 years of devolution in the country. What are some of the strides that we've made in as far as devolution is concerned as a country? And as far as the county is also concerned, what are some of the strides, misses, gains, and some of the improvements that they need to work on to make service delivery to the Kenyans better? That is the whole spirit and essence of having the devolved units. All right, talk to us at Victor Law on all my social media handles, at Victor Law or at KBC Channel 1, and I'll be sampling some of your comments during and at the tail end of this program. My guests are already in studio. They'll be joining me shortly, but let me start by, the County Integrated Development Program and Plans is one that is a guideline that is also meant to and prepared and issued to counties by the State Department, and that is also meant to highlight the processes as well as procedures that a county should undertake in planning. The sector planning is also important because it forms the basis of any project identification and implementation. And now, most of the counties in the country are actually planning, working on their CDPs, that is their County Integrated Development Plans for the next financial year. That is the financial year. And now, I just want to take a look at some of the plans that they have as different in the counties. What are some of the challenges they face in the process? And where can they work to make sure that such kind of mishaps are not are avoided? All right. So before that, let me start with the front page of the Standard. Front page of the Daily Nation Standard. I take your pardon. On the front page of the Standard, I have it: Terror Squad's Ruto unleashed on Gen Z. That is what I have on the front page of the Standard. I'll also give my guest a minute each later on to chime on that. Terror Squad's Ruto unleashed on Gen Z. That is the big reveal on the front page of the Standard. It says that the Standard can now reveal the men who infiltrated the protest by youthful Kenyans are trained to take down terrorists. They use cars without number plates and clad in balaclavas and hoods to conceal their identity. That is what is here on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And now, it says that 2 units are formed by bringing together police officers and NIS officers designated to fight terror. All right. And now the number of people who is said to have been killed now stands at 50. The number which was killed by police during the protest against poor governance, it's here. You can take a look at that story. That is the big reader here on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Again, Mwangaza to face MCAs again as Senate begins censure probe. She's facing the Senate for the 3rd time after she was also impeached by the MCAs for the 3rd time in 2 years. The Senate will have a special sitting today morning where senators will have a pre-hearing conference before Meru MCAs present their case. The governor will defend herself on Tuesday. That is tomorrow. All right. Again, sidelined heroes behind growth of Eldoret town to a city. Eldoret municipality was elevated to a city. I don't know when Machakos will be elevated to a city. Mwangangi is here. He'll tell us. What is he doing about it? DJ, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Somebody says that imeanza violence mapema.
What?
That have started violence mapema. Why is Machakos not getting a city status?
It all depends on the priorities of the government.
Right.
But I think soon the process will be underway. Yes.
For
You know,
Leopoldo.
that is the early 90s.
Yes.
That was the first capital city of this country. And historically, I think it is in the interest of many Kenyans to see that become one of the cities in this country. Secondly, when you talk of devolution, I think we might end up reaching a point where all the governors will work towards having their headquarters as cities. Definitely you will have to set standards so that there are some minimums to be met for any town to be declared a city. And that is the path to growth. That is the path to transform this country.
I remember this sometimes in the past you said that Machakos County is in the jurisdiction of Nairobi. We bring the same oxygen.
We are within the metropolitan.
Yes.
And
we bring the same oxygen. So
and by the way, it's like you can shop all the way to Machakos town. It's like the town is almost coming, becoming one because of the expansion. Although I think very many greedy, very few greedy leaders have interfered with the boundaries.
Yes, so it cannot
but I can tell you, Machakos town and Nairobi, there are so many markets and towns in between. You cannot differentiate if it is one or separate.
I agree. Good to see you as well.
Thank you.
You had a busy week last week. We'll take a look at that, what happened. The G7 was launched in your county. You'll tell us what really happened there. And you're also praised because you're working so close with your deputy, with your boss. You'll also tell us about that. Professor, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you
good
for having me.
Right.
And nice to see you too.
Asante sana. And Katisia, who is the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui, is also here. He's also an advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana, Wakili.
Thank you, Victor.
How is Kitui doing?
Kitui is doing well. Allow me to say good morning to all Kenyans and all our viewers, and say that I'm glad to be here today to share more on what is happening in our country, and especially to discuss the devolution history to date.
That's something that is close to our hearts as Kenyans.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Okay, so now that you are on your mic is on, Terror Squad's Ruto unleashed on Gen Zs. What do you make of the front page of the Standard? As we move, in 1 minute, if you can.
Thank you, Victor. I think the issue of the protest and how the protest was handled by the government is something which very many Kenyans, especially us, the young people, because I am in the category of the millennials, and I know those protests were done mostly by the Gen Zs and the millennials. And although in some areas, especially in Kitui, where I come from, the protests were peaceful, and actually the police did not interfere or even harass the protesters. But we saw in major cities like Nairobi, Mombasa, we also saw in Eldoret how the protesters were dealt with. Here in Nairobi it was a special case because a lot happened which we cannot even speak about. All we can say is that maybe one day, one time, all these things will come to light, because you know, people sometimes are in fear. You know, you may talk about something and the next day you are a target. But I think as leaders we must say things as they are, that although the government has a responsibility of maintaining law and order, I think it's good that the constitutional rights of Kenyans are respected and safeguarded. You saw how the police were firing live bullets on peaceful protesters. How the police were actually harassing live in live TV. You could see them shooting at protesters, and some of the police officers were even captured. But what has happened to them? Nothing. The other day I saw the IPOA CEO complaining that when they summon police officers to appear before them, they don't even honor those summons. They even harass them. So it is so unfortunate, Victor, and we can only pray that God intervenes, because even if we have a new IG, I think who is about to be approved by the National Assembly, the CS is the same, yeah, and of course the commander-in-chief is the same. All we can pray for is that the police officers, as they do their work, they should know that they are also Kenyans.
Yeah.
Those protests were aimed at fighting for all Kenyans. Actually, the young people were tired of how the economy was, and we could see that the drive was not even motivated by anything. That's why you could see they had no leadership. Yeah, they even refused. Some people were saying that the protests were being sponsored by some organizations. I think that was not true. Maybe there could have been some people who were taking advantage of the protest, and maybe they were getting funding from other areas. But the real protesters, the Gen Zs and the millennials who were on the streets, were actually doing that voluntarily, and they were not being motivated by anybody. So I can say that as maybe that terror squad, if I may call it so, yeah, maybe the government should invest in maybe training them on how to peacefully handle protests. Because I saw a police officer crying, saying that he has shot his colleague's brother. What about those very many young people who were killed? Others disappeared. Yeah, so I think as we do our work, as we deal with the protesters, it's good that we also safeguard human rights.
Absolutely.
What happened, Victor, if the real picture can be given to Kenyans, it is worse than what we have been able to see.
All right. Let me get the Prof. Terror squads, Ruto unleashed on Gen Zs. The kind of police, upgrade that has been there over the years, it's been worked on to make it better. And when you see this, I don't know what your take on the front page of the Standard in 1 minute if you can.
Thank you, Victor, for that. What I would say, as far as the Gen Zs are concerned, their demands, the demands they made, which prompted them to be in the streets, was actually very, very constitutional. It is their right to be in the streets, their rights to picket, to demonstrate. What a certain generation didn't know, Generation X and the way back, is that this is an information age, and these young people are far much aware of what's going on in government, what's going on in the world. Unlike the times we grew up, some of us, like me and my Generation X, where there was no internet, it came later. But now we have information spread everywhere. They have their phones. They know everything. So when they go to the streets to demand for some sanity in government, they are not wrong. They are right. But when the police use excessive force to chase them away from what they are looking for, it's absolutely wrong. Except the military. The military were a bit sober and friendly to the Gen Zs. But the other sectors of the police, of the security forces, were really brutal to the young people who were demanding for sanity, who were demanding for better economic situations in this country. So I would say that in the future, let us respect, that is now from the government side, let us respect the demands, the rights of the Kenyans, especially the young people who are well informed than most people.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. DG, tell us codes, and then I want you to make it with the audit and arts financial road at the sports fund. It never gets, audit and arts financial road at the sports fund. This is the front page of the Star newspaper. It says that the Auditor General has also cast doubt on payout. Amount going to around 5.4 billion shillings was not supported by expenditure returns. What do you make of the two headlines?
Thank you. On Gen Zs and the terror squad, I think it confirms that the Kenyans who are massacred, maybe some people within the security sector had a hand in it. It needs to be thoroughly investigated. But I also feel that politics should not be mixed with these kind of things, because democratization process within this country can be agitated by anybody, not Jay-Z's. Earlier on, soon after the elections, we saw my coalition go to streets. The same was unleashed, and that begs some questions. Is it the government that is intolerant, or is it some individuals within the structure of the internal security sector, or we could be also having some informal security setup? Because who set up this kind of a group to deal with people ideally who are very peaceful? So I think going forward, we need we need to be tolerant of each other. The security sector, particularly the internal, needs to at least be sensitized, be trained, change their curriculum so that there is a way of handling these issues whenever they happen. Remember, we have a country called Israel. People have been in the streets demanding the return of the people who are forcibly taken away to Gaza Strip. They have been demanding even the resignation of the Prime Minister. I don't know how many have disappeared. I don't know how many have been hijacked. I don't know how many have been forced to disappear. I don't know how many have died. So I think we need to learn from some of these cases, so that we don't, after every cycle of election, go to massacring each other. I still believe any responsible government will bring these culprits, particularly those who set up this kind of a group, because I don't think we had terrorists. Our children are not terrorists. So I think we need Kenyans would expect an answer, presuming that was true.
Okay.
Now, about the sports fund and what has been unearthed, it is our culture. We have been seeing many of these kind of things. And I think, I don't know what is happening, but it is unfortunate, because if we are talking of billions of shillings,
5.4 billion shillings.
5.4 billion.
Yes, which
you
is
can imagine,
the Star reports that was not supported by expenditure returns.
You can imagine what that kind of money can do at the grassroots level. Remember the words of, I think, Mahatma Gandhi, that India was not going to be transformed or developed by how many cities they developed, but how many villages they developed. So in this case, you can imagine how much of that money could have done at the local level. So I think we need to reduce this kind of misappropriation of public funds and focus on transforming this country.
Great.
Equally, we need also not to see that kind of headline and then it just dies along the way. We need to get to the bottom of it and recover what is due to the public.
And
yes.
Prof, I would imagine the new CS, Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, has a lot of work to do if this is what is being unearthed. 5.4 billion shillings. And you'd imagine some of the sports training centers are not well equipped even for these sports persons to do their training properly. Prof?
Yeah, to me, in the first place, Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund is very important. Why I call it important to be in place in the first place is because it will unearth talents at the grassroots level. Unfortunately, like Mheshimiwa, what he has said here, there is a tendency of misappropriating funds meant for useful purposes. And I think the new CS has a lot of work to do. He has to be very serious, be very keen on the spending or the expenditure of this money. And the most important thing here is to ensure that talents that are wasted at the grassroots level are unearthed, so that we have a sports infrastructure at the grassroots level. Fortunately, God has allowed us that we have, this is a moment of devolution, whereby now we get talents from the villages to the national level, so that we can have, I mean, when we participate in, for example, in the Olympics, for example, Kenya is well known for long distance learning, but there are other talents that we've not unearthed that should participate in the Olympics. If this money is spent properly, then we will be able to participate in other sports activities very well. We put the infrastructure in schools. You know, we have village sports activities, and that plan should be put in place so that we don't waste away well-intentioned resources.
Oh, great. Katisa, perhaps, you know, when such kind of a money, this 5.4 billion shillings is not a small change. I believe that is enough to fund your county, DG. 5.4 billion shillings. What is the annual allocation from the National Treasury?
It's around 9-10 billion.
So this is half of the, yes. So you can imagine this is enough to take you for 6 months, paying all the bills and etc., etc. This amount of money, and you know, with what you're seeing across the country, one thing that most Kenyans usually talk about is the issue of corruption. And when you see, you know, expenditure not returned, so you can imagine what is now, this is just but an audit, 5.4. So what about some of them that we don't know about, you know? What do you think?
Thank you, Victor. And I can say that this issue of alleged corruption in the sports ministry has been there for quite a long time. And every time, as His Excellency the Deputy Governor has said, you see those headlines, people talk about it, but nothing happens. I think they are used to it. They know that we shall talk about this for like a month or two, and then everything will go back to normal. One thing I can say is I agree with what my colleagues have said, is that perhaps it's high time that the president can think of devolving this ministry fully to the counties, because every county government has a Ministry of Sports. And what does that ministry do, apart from maybe trying to come up with the stadiums, if it's possible? So there are little funds actually to finance that ministry as it does its work, because most of the budget is at the national level. So my proposal, as the Deputy Governor said, we need to come up with a solution, is that can this Ministry of Sports, all these activities, can they be devolved to the county level, because there'll be more accountability at the county level. You know, the reason why devolution was actually brought to us is to ensure more accountability. Because how will this person at Nairobi here be accountable to a child in Turkana? And when you talk of these amounts of money which are not accounted for, no, they talk of how they are able to spend. And you know, sometimes, Victor, even when you buy this newspaper, chances are you may not get a receipt for it because you are buying it on the streets. So now, in the sports ministry, there are so many expenditures which maybe cannot be accounted for, but they need to ensure that everything is accounted for, because there must be accountability. If the office of the Auditor General has not been properly convinced that that money, 5.4, was indeed spent properly in that ministry, then the officers responsible should be brought to task to explain. But you have seen the other agencies which help us in ensuring that these kids are not there, like the EACC. You can see what is happening at the EACC, where the National Assembly and the senators are pushing that the qualifications be increased. You saw what happened when the CS Oparanya was being vetted and approved by the National Assembly. If they are pending cases, they are immediately removed. So you see, if we want to really deal with these issues of corruption, especially at the national government, then the bodies which are responsible in ensuring that there is accountability should do their work.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's take a break. As we come back, now we'll be crossing over to our substantive discussion here. Counties and governance, something which is very close to our hearts, that is strengthening devolved governance in Kenya. We've talked about matters corruption. You've talked about some of the, some putted expenditures in the sports ministry. But is it devolved corruption in the counties? I just want to get on that. When you come back, and what are some of the strides that we've made so far in the spirit of celebrating 14 years of devolution in the country? I have got Mheshimiwa Francis Mongangi, representing the great people of Machakos, Ago, Professor Nyamache, and Kevin Katisia, Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui. Stay with us, we'll be right back shortly.
Somewhere in Kayole Estate, to the further east of Nairobi, Pamina's young
from whichever part of the country or even in the diaspora watching this, how has this devolution worked for you? We have got, I've got great brains here. Kevin Katisia is the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui. I want him, he's also an advocate of the High Court. I just want to get more in as far as this is concerned. And I really want to understand, Katisia, at this particular point, what did you make of the journey that we've made from 2010 up to now where we are? I know many counties, including your county and Machakos County, and all the counties, for that matter, across the country are also working on the ADPs. But let me start with you. How has it been from 2010 to date?
Thank you very much, Victor, and our viewers. I'm very glad to discuss this very important topic because I'm in the devolution space. And for me to make an impact in this space, I must really understand what devolution is. It is true that we are about to celebrate 14 years of devolution because devolution came after the promulgation of the Constitution of Kenya in 2010,
yes,
which was done on 27th of August 2010. So sometime next week, 27th will be next week on Tuesday, we shall be celebrating indeed 14 years of devolution. Devolution came now after the Constitution was promulgated. It came now into effect after the 2013 general election, March 2013. So we can actually say that devolution has been active in Kenya for the last 11 years. Active. Though it came in 2010, but it started in 2013 after the elections. And when devolution came, there were steps which were taken by the then government to ensure that devolution is fully active. We all know that the Transition Authority was formed. That is the body which now helped start devolution in all now the 47 counties. Or setting up structures, trying to see if the various structures which are available are able to do the functions which are there, trying to advise the national government on how now to devolve the functions to the county level, and that has been ongoing. Unfortunately, Victor, we can say that to date, all devolved functions have not been taken to the counties. When we were in Eldoret for the devolution conference, even the president admitted that it is true that there were some functions which are still at the national level, and he promised that those all devolved functions will be taken to the county levels. But the question is that why has been that long delay?
For the sake of the viewer, which are some of the functions?
You know, when we talk of agriculture, for example, we know that agriculture, most of it is at the national level, and it's supposed to be at the county level. Even now, sports, Victor, health. Health actually is supposed to be not even shared. Health is supposed to be fully devolved. But what happens? Counties are only paying salaries. You remember the issue of the machines which were being bought to the national government, and the counties were being forced to pay, but the machines were procured by the national government. There has been that conflict between the national government and the county government. When you look at our constitution, Victor, Chapter 11, it provides on, and if you look at the fourth schedule of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, all the devolved functions are there, are provided for. And the Constitution provides on how to deal with issues of conflict between the national government and the county government on matters devolution. And what I can say is that, Victor, what we have been lacking as counties is that political goodwill, yeah, from the national government. Because Deputy Governor here will tell you that even if it is clear on the budget for county governments, there has been push and pull on how county governments should access their funds. Yeah, we know that right now we are expecting that the budget for counties will be reduced. That one is a fact because we saw the DORA, and we know very soon it will be passed, and then now the CARA will come on. Yeah, so we see that even on the matters of funds getting to the counties, it's a problem. And when it comes to now these functions being done by the counties, it's also a big problem. So what I can ask for is that 14 years down the line, I think it is high time that we look into this thing. We saw during the protest, yeah, very many people were saying, "Oh, let us reduce the number of counties from 47 to 8."
Yes.
Yeah, because as you have said,
that would make it regional.
It now become regional.
Yes.
Yeah, because as you have said, some people have been given this perception that devolution is devolving corruption, which is not true. Yeah, which is not true at all. Actually, if you look at our constitution and you look at the spirit of our constitution on matters devolution, it was actually to ensure self-governance by the people.
But have we made it to that space?
We may not say that we have been really on that space fully, but we are towards that space, Victor. Because if you look at Article 174 of the Constitution of 2010, look at the objects of devolution, where we want our people to govern themselves. Yeah, you know, if you look at the history of where people push for devolution, is that some areas were marginalized. Yeah, yeah, there was inequalities in development in Kenya. Yeah, some communities were saying, you know, the government does not even know that we exist. And what happened after all those campaigns? We said that let us take the government to the people. Yeah, and now at the counties, people are fully involved. That's why you have mentioned about the CIDP, the County Integrated Development Plan, which is done for 5 years.
Yes. And
every year we have the annual development plan. And then after the ADP, we get the CFSP, County Fiscal Strategy Paper, and then the main budget. All those policy documents are aimed at involving the people. As we prepare the CIDP, when a governor gets into office, they have their manifesto, but they have to now talk to the people so that the people can own that manifesto. People can make some necessary amendments to the manifesto of the governor. Yeah. Then every year we must have plans and programs. And now as we make the budget is centered at what the people are saying. That's why public participation, Victor, at the county level is a must. Yeah. And even though we may not be that perfect as counties, it's good that our people give counties the benefit of the doubt, that counties are doing their best. Indeed, what should even happen is having more counties, because we want to take government to the people. So 14 years down the line, as far as Kitui is concerned, because I come from Kitui and I'm sure DG will talk about Machakos, we have seen the fruits of devolution.
You've seen the fruit of devolution.
We have seen and we are actually working towards making it even more better.
Prof, what do you make 14 years later?
Yeah, thank you, Victor and the viewers. The proponents of the 2010 Constitution laid a few claims to governance in Kenya. And when they worked so hard to ensure that we have the Constitution in the place, the Constitution was meant to empower people. The 2010 Constitution, to empower people at the grassroots. Number two, to get rid of the imperial presidency. Now, when it comes to empowering people at the grassroots level, the first term of devolution, that is 2013 to 2017, it actually showed Kenyans that really democracy can work. The fruits of devolution were about democratization of governance in this country. And actually we saw it. But there was a lot of confusion in those first 5 years. a lot of confusion, a lot of corruption that took place. The governance issues were really a thing to talk about, not straight away. I mean, and it really made other people who thought that being governor is not being powerful, and they went for Senate. There are those ones who went for senatorial positions thinking that the Senate is powerful. Being a senator is more powerful than becoming governor. And we witnessed this in Kenya over time. But I would say the best thing that happened to this country so far is having the constitution in place, the 2010 constitution in place, and devolving functions, a few functions, of course not all, as Bwana Wakili said here. Not all functions have been devolved, like health issues, agriculture. Everything depends, or rather counties depend from the national government.
Right.
Now, if this one can be worked out, and devolution can work better than before, or what it is at the moment. The other issue that I've witnessed, has been witnessed at the moment, is where the MCAs, of course, due to democratic space, they threaten governors. Of course, the best case that we have, best case scenario, is of Meru County, whereby MCAs have been impeaching their governor. And unless a governor knows how to, navigate and how to deal with the MCAs, you can't survive. And this is something that should be worked on now and in the future, so that we ensure that our people feel devolution at the grassroots level.
Yes. And
also to be governed properly. Now, there's the issue also of labor issues, employment at county level. The first term of devolution saw a lot of, employment of ghost workers. And we've been seeing most governors being accused of not managing labor issues at county level. That you employ people, you employ your mother, you employ whoever you want. So we are not really embracing skills.
Nepotism.
There's a lot of nepotism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion. There are people who are on payroll and they've never worked anywhere. In other words, we are talking about ghost workers. And so 14 years later, since the inception of devolution in this country, these are some of the issues that should be looked at. Finally, Bwana Victor, is that I've been seeing actually governors really begging that we want money to the counties.
From the National Treasury?
From the National Treasury, really begging. So I would want to see in future governors becoming more independent, because they are actually presidents.
That perhaps is now directed to the deputy governor.
Now I think the deputy governor will be able to talk much about it, because it's on the ground.
Yeah, DG, you pick it from there.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I know you will respond to all of them. There's something which Professor Thomas said, which I think I slightly disagree with him, where I said that...
What if we come back on the next round?
That's okay. That's okay.
DG, take it away.
Okay. 14 years of devolution and Akio practice 11 years. There are fruits. And these fruits are also accompanied by challenges. One, it is true, over 10 years since we started exercising devolution, it is true we have functions that are still with the national government. It is also very true that we have functions that have since been devolved, but money is still with the national government.
Yeah.
It is also true we are also facing a lot of challenges as far as wastage, mismanagement, and the theft of public resources. And this cuts across, because if you look around and ask yourself, why would somebody sit somewhere and decide on behalf of all the counties in this country, you must have this and you must pay, and we will be deducting that money whether you allow it or not. Why? What makes you? And when you go to market to look at the costs of similar equipment, you find it is almost 5 times higher than, and we are in a country that we pride ourselves being democratic. Another challenge is, I think, when the third president of the Republic of Kenya and Emilio Kibaki led the country into enacting a new constitution, we did not think keenly on the issue of manpower to the counties, because I expected a program by the national government and the counties, a massive program that was to retrain the local government officers who are absorbed to these counties, and even those who are sent there from the national government. So that at the end, including even those who the founding governors employed, so that we can have one team, as opposed to having local authorities, employees, others from national government, others from private sector. So I thought we could have had a program that maybe even could have had golden handshake, so that so many people who want to exit counties can be paid and exit. So the end result would be lean, effective and efficient public service that will deliver services to Mwananchi. That did not happen. Instead, even up to today, we are grappling with that challenge of people who came from different directions and they started working. Nobody bothered about integrating them so that you form one team that can deliver services to Mwananchi. Now, those many years of devolution, I think we have elements in this country who think of centralism. And centralism is so sweet because even the kickbacks, they must be too high. When you execute a program worth billions of shillings, you know, you can calculate and know 10-15% of this huge of billions or millions that will come back to you. I'll give an example. The other day, Kenyans were sold fake fertilizer. Yet, agriculture is fully devolved to counties. If we had fully devolved agriculture to counties, it is only 1 or 2 counties that would have experienced the issue of fake fertilizer. Why? Each county will procure its own fertilizers to our people, and you will not experience this kind of thing. Look at health. Look at even water. Water is 100% devolved. But the national government, if you see what our national treasury and our parliament are allocating to that particular department, is almost 3 times what is being allocated to the 47 counties. So I think we need to be serious on devolution. And I will here say that there is no country on earth, even petro-states, no single country that has developed as a result of centralism. We must run away from that kind of a thing. Where you are seeing, and you know, as a country we started well, and we had that kind of decentralization at independence. But still, these evil thinkers, people want to get rich so quickly, want to use shortcuts. They moved back and returned the country to this form of centralism, form of government. I think if we want to be fair, because the result of that centralism was witnessed by that sessional paper of 1965, where the policy was where the country generates a lot should be given. Instead of Personally, I don't believe there is any part of this country that cannot generate anything for this country. So we need to look at the entire country, strengthen devolution by resourcing it, by devolving more functions and supporting it. The issue of corruption, we should not be talking about corruption in our devolution system. Why am I saying so? We have institutions that are capable of handling that. We have Auditor General reports. Let us be or remain objective to true and ruthless way of dealing with corruption, and it will end. By the way, from the top, if today we want to end this thing called corruption, it will end.
It will end.
I don't believe it
From
cannot.
where I come from, they say that
it will end. If the government doesn't want this thing,
yes,
it will end.
From where I come from,
Yes.
DG, they say that a fish starts rotting from the head, not from the tail.
That is very true. But you know, in
So
the
if you
words
have to
of-
stop
Yes.
it, make sure that you deal with the head first.
Yes. You know, there's this Lord Acton. He was a British philosopher. He said, power tends to corrupt.
Yeah.
But absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that is what is happening. You are seeing a section of leadership, not everyone. So many Kenyans want devolution. They want devolution work. Look at, and I want at your own time, Victor, go back to the pronouncements of both the national leadership in the last campaigns, whether Azimio or Kenya Kwanza, and you see their sentiments about devolution and what is happening today.
Those are some of the sentiments which were made during political
unfortunate.
heated moments, because you know devolution is close and closer to the hearts are even people who were yearning for those positions, the senators, governors. So it would be so easy for you to go along with the thought, but the real implementation and actualization of the constitution is now the biggest issue.
And you know, Victor,
Yes,
just
I want to give it to
the
Katisa,
last
right.
sentence.
Yes.
The last sentence. You know, Kenyans will agree with me. Even now, when we are talking about reducing resources going to counties, that should not be the case, because we have there is a requirement by law which is very tricky. We say we are going to apportion, appropriate resources as per the last audited accounts. Who does that auditing? The national government.
Right.
Budget of the national government is based on what we collect at the moment.
So you are given money
when
as
it
per
comes
what
to
you
counties,
used. Right.
it's the last audited accounts. Even if it's 10 years ago or 5 years ago, nobody bothers. I think that is very unfair to Kenyans.
I will ask you this question because you usually have your caucus as deputy governors, even the council of governors. Do you usually raise these issues with national government, and what are some of the responses coming out of that? Katisia, the issue of distribution of resources is coming out here, and when you talk of distribution of resources from the national council, national government. Let's start from that point first of all. The national treasury gives money to the counties, and the counties also have their own source revenue. And so you find that the only person who will be suffering in this point is Wanjiku. How do you solve this so that there is that synergy between the national government and the county government?
Thank you very much, Victor, for giving me that chance. Please, before I respond to that, allow me to point out something which Professor had said.
Go ahead.
Where he mentioned that MCAs are threatening governors. I want to fully disagree with the professor on that one, because if you look at the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article 176, says that there shall be a county government comprising of a county assembly and a county executive. The county assembly and the county executive must work together. Article 177 is now the county executive committee, where the governor is the head of that committee. We have the deputy governor, we have the ministers, who are now coming up with proposals. These proposals are supposed to be approved by the county assembly. Yeah. So the county assembly and the county executive must work together. But there are sometimes, Victor, when governors think that they can't work with MCAs. Sometimes some governors think they are too superior to MCAs to an extent they can't even listen to them. Yeah, because they think they are managing a big budget, and MCA is a small person. But Victor, I can say here, because I lead MCAs and I'm actually an MCA, I can say that if we want really to empower devolution, we must empower MCAs. Because the spirit of devolution is self-governance by the people. The MCA is the leader who is at the grassroots there with the people every day. The governor is at the top there, but sometimes governors trust their ward administrators and village administrators and their ministers and their CEOs even more than an MCA. A governor will listen to a ward administrator about a particular issue in a particular ward and fail to listen to an MCA. So if we want really to improve devolution, MCAs must be respected, MCAs must be empowered. What we are seeing in Meru is unfortunate. We should ask ourselves why every day the governor, Kawera, and MCAs are colliding. Senate, I know she has been saying she can't work with the MCAs. She knows that Senate will protect her. I think that's an issue where I believe the MCAs will be left to do their work. And Victor, when we talk of distribution of resources to governments, to county governments, even before we complain about, when governors meet at COG, they complain the national government is not releasing enough budget to them. At the county level, MCAs complain that the county budget is not equitably distributed to all the wards, because county budget is supposed to serve all the wards in a particular county. But let me leave that issue at that point and say that it is true, and I fully agree that the national government has not been properly devolving and disbursing funds to the county governments. We know that the constitution is very clear that at least 15%. We know that governors have been pushing for 45%, and that is the spirit. In fact, the county government should be given 50% of the national budget, and then the remaining 50% to remain at the national level. Because what counties do is a lot, Victor. Sometimes you see that a national government is actually having a big budget, but most of the work is done by the counties. Yes. And this distribution of resources, Victor, should be, I think it should be now be made very clear that every devolved function has its own budget, and that a function should be accompanied by a budget. Because if we say we want to fully devolve agriculture or fully devolve health, and the budget is left at the national level, how will we really empower health?
That gives the counties a lot of work to do.
Exactly, because in Kitui County, for example, our budget before Dora tries to cut it down, we had a budget of around 10 billion. And among that 10 billion, 3.6 billion has gone to health. And among that 3.6 billion, 3.2 is for salaries.
Is it because of the priorities set by the national treasury or the national government?
I think the issue is that not even about priorities. The issue is now actualizing these priorities, because sometimes we know the law is very clear, at least 15%, and that one is okay, is given. But that at least, maybe we can even now try to amend the constitution and make it a specific figure. We say 30% or 45%, because sometimes we go to the bare minimum. So what I'm saying, Victor, is that when the national government is now taking a function to the county, that function must be accompanied by a budget. Okay. Because I'm saying in health, for example, we have a budget in Kitui County. We have a budget of around 3.6 billion for health, but in that budget, 3.2 is for salaries.
In other words, you're talking about predictability.
Yes, and you see, we can't even do any meaningful development. You are paying a doctor, but there's no hospital facility for them to work.
Let's take a break. I need to fill your cups. It's break time. And it's coffee time. So I still have so much to talk about, because I also want to talk about the issue of gender equality in the counties. I also want to talk about the issue of proper governance, how we can improve it moving forward in terms of a governance system in our country. So stick around for that. And we'll be right back. I'm Victor Lo. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, to the final stages of this conversation. I'm loving it. Okay, so, Prof, now let me come back to you. The issue of distribution of resources, we've tackled that one. But now, very quickly, because of time, I want us to talk about the issue of the hard nut that is so hard to crack, gender equality. I'm talking about this because Deputy Governor is here. He'll talk about the issue of the G7 that happened last week in Machakos County. The women governors in the country converged in Machakos and had their strategy moving forward. But from the look of things, that number is too small, 7 out of 47 counties. That is also replicated in other elected positions. What do you think should be done in as far as gender equality is concerned? We've talked about it over and over and over again. And did you also have time to talk about this, because you are at the stadium when all this is happening? Prof.
Yeah, thank you, Victor, and the viewers. Number one, before I talk about gender equality, or rather women governors, there's something which my colleague here talked about, distribution of resources to county governments. There's something I've not understood in this country. We are in a devolution moment, but we find a few individuals, a few politicians, as the DG put it, who love centralization. Because devolution is about decentralization, but we have those who love centralization. Now, when you hear a few leaders going to the president, then they say, we want development to our constituencies, to our counties. That is why we made a trip to State House, for example. Where does that one put devolution? I mean, what else do you want from the president, for example, that you do not have in your constituency or in your county? Now you say, a few of us, let's go meet him, we take tea together, and then we tell him, come and... Now that one takes us back to one-party dictatorship. So such kind of politicians should actually stop it, the way Bonadiji put it, so that we embrace devolution. Now coming to gender equality, Victor, to me, the few women leaders, few women governors who had their own meeting talking about women leadership in this country. So far, since devolution started, I think we had one or two governors who were women at the time, but the number is increasing.
Actually,
over time.
it increased from last year. The last election, it increased to 7 now.
Yeah, to 7.
Yeah,
which is good. In our private conversations during break time, we said that one female governor is being has been impeached 3 times, and that one now takes back the issue of women leadership back. And then we say this: it's important for us to know on how to work with the MCAs. It's very important for us to know what the MCAs are, the foot soldiers for her, so that she knows how to work with them. Now, the women governors who are in place at the moment at the county level should encourage their colleagues to also seek for these positions in the near future. Because the more we have women in leadership, the more we see how governance is done. We can be able to compare between women and men. And then we also need to remove that mindset that a woman can make a poor leader.
Yes.
We want, in the near future, to have so many women vying even for the presidency. And it is mooted. Of course, I had, when the women governors had their own meeting, they proposed a name, and that is the governor for Kirinyaga, that this one is a presidential material, and they are encouraging to vie for the presidency in the near future. Of course, it's not easy, but it's a good thought, so that in the near future we have these people also embracing leadership. We see how a woman can be able to change the landscape of this country as far as governance is concerned. And probably, because we've been talking about corruption that has been, wrecking AFOC as far as development is concerned in this country. Perhaps a woman is going to bring leadership to give us a different way of leading Kenyans towards getting rid of this monster called corruption in this country. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. DG, your county has been mentioned almost 17 times in the last 3 minutes. So allow me to get it to you. When you talk about gender equality, and your county played a key role last week, the G7, and now we are talking about Kawira Mwangaza also appearing, the case starts to appear today before the Senate. The question is, gender equality card, has it been played very well to this far? Your boss is a woman, and how is it? And are you also lauded because of working a relationship with your boss? For the record.
First, ours is because of our party. You know, our party leader is a diplomat, and one who does not encourage conflicts, one who promotes peaceful resolution of any issue. Now, I think that has played a key role to see Machakos to where it is. But I want to make a special appeal before I forget. One is to the President of Kenya. Please, and the top political leadership, my party leader, and all other national leaders included, please, let us forge, stand, promote, and advocate for devolution. That is the fastest way to transform this country. Let us make counties the centers of job creation, wealth creation, and transformation. It is possible, it is doable. And that can only be done if we promote science, innovation, and creativity. That's very important. That can be done by ensuring those functions that are supposed to be with counties are already there, accompanied by the relevant resources.
Yes.
It's very important.
Manifold of functions.
Yes. Then, the issue of governance. Slightly, I would differ with my speaker, the Honorable Speaker, Ketui. That the executive does not value the legislative arm of the governance at the county level. I think it depends on the leadership. It depends on the leadership.
Yeah.
I would, at this point, say the following. As a parliamentarian at the national level,
Yes.
we set bar for recalling a member of parliament, which is, it is not, you cannot recall a member of parliament unless he or she has been there for 2 years. I would wish the same be replicated at the county level. And we go further. Because the MP is being recalled by the citizens, the voters, I think it should also include that if a deputy governor is going to be impeached, please involve the voters who voted. Let that process go on in all the wards, so that this process is fair, it is participatory, it does not discriminate the voters. That way, we will improve on governance. But I will also say that has been a challenge, because when you see what these kind of impeachments, I'm not saying they are not good, they are unfair. When you see county assemblies sit, discuss, come to an agreement, this leader must be removed. There must be some issues which needs to be sorted out. I think leaders should work together, because you are serving the same electorate, the same selectorates who woke up and voted for all of you. So you should work together. And I think my special appeal, without interfering with what is happening at the Senate or what is happening in Meru, I think we can ask Wiper Party to second maybe my governor to Meru to at least bring peace. Because I think she has so far, the single most thing I think she has achieved is to bring so many leaders, so many players to work as a team for the people of Machakos. And I think maybe they can borrow 1 or 2 issues from Machakos and maybe move forward. So the issue of gender at the county level, or within the devolution space, I think we have 47 entities. In those 47 entities, there is executive and there is the legislature. And I don't know, but we need to do much because still the political space, even at county level, is predominantly men. The speaker will attest here. I don't know. I know Kitui County is a wiper county. And I know those elected, majority of them are we men. In Machakos, we are celebrated of the famous Machakos girls.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, we have 40 wards.
What about Machakos girls?
Yes, and these 40 wards.
You can't run away from this, DJ.
No, I will define. I have got no problem defining. In Machakos,
yes,
we have 40 wards. Out of the 40 wards, it is only 2 wards that elected female as MCS. What does that one tell you? We are far. But up there, we are seeing the senator, we are seeing the governor as female. But also the national government has also done marvelous. Because the head of judiciary, the county commissioner, there are several. The speaker, the speaker of the county assembly, and several others, heads of department are female. But we have got no problem because I'm there. I'm trying to manage. To manage them well, so that under Machakos girls there is a man there.
Are you trying to speak as the deputy president? No, I like that. You're leveraging.
Yes,
absolutely.
So the issue of governance on a serious note, a lot is supposed to be done going forward, so that at least we balance. We don't leave men behind. We don't leave female leaders behind. But also they need to come forward.
Yeah,
they need to come forward. Nobody will go for men from their house. They need to come out.
Politics competitive.
Express, yes.
Yeah.
Articulate their policies so that they can be seen by the electorate.
But it's also important to note that the judiciary is now predominantly led by women, starting from the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, we have the Registrar of the Judiciary. Who else is also leading that?
Even Deputy Chief Justice.
Exactly.
But I think now corruption will come to an end. This Attorney General is a serious one, and so I think the corrupt must now start getting worried.
We should absolutely come to an end. You talked about the impeachment. The Senator of Kiambu, that is Senator Thangwa, came up with a proposal which is supposed to be taken to the Senate for a debate, where it says that a deputy or a governor should not, an impeachment motion should not be tabled before the county assembly before 90 days. So it should be after 90 days of the governor being elected. That is when that bill should be introduced. But then now we've seen the governor of Meru is being impeached for the 3rd time. I would imagine what Meru people are going through right now in terms of
on impeachment.
Right.
I think we should make it uniform.
Yeah.
Just the way it is in Parliament. You cannot recall a parliamentarian. We need to standardize. Yes. We need to standardize so that we don't threaten devolution in Kenya. But again, also, we need to also strengthen our institutions. The fact that I cannot, we are making a proposal to make it uniform, it does not mean that during that period I can do stupid things and I get away with it. We need to ensure and by the way, that also goes to devolution.
Yes.
Other than strengthening our institutions, even at the county level, we need to see a stronger legislature that makes independent decisions. That, in my view, has also independent way of getting their budget.
Yes.
And in a sustained way, such that as a governor, I don't wake up one day and decide I disagreed with the speaker at a Saturday funeral. So that now I start punishing them by not allowing them to have their budget. So we need to strengthen institutions at whatever level, and we demystify the issue of strong leadership, but instead we have strong institutions as opposed to the individuals.
Prof, there is this goes to all of you now. There's this big elephant in the room called public participation. We've heard about it several times, and many cases have also flopped in court because of due to lack of public participation in as far as some of the cases are concerned. How do we bring the issue of public participation to the fore so that it's well articulated. It's in the Constitution. But should we have a threshold, DG, Prof, and Speaker? Should we have a threshold to what forms a proper public participation? We've seen a couple of, as I said, cases flopping because of lack of that. So, Prof, what do you think should happen? Because it's here with us. It has to stay either way. And I'm so sure the ADPs and different counties are also performing your public participation as we speak. You're so busy right now. Prof.
To me, Victor, the issue of public participation, because as a Kenyan, I've seen many cases flopping because we are told there was no public participation in this, no public participation in that. Since it's provided in the Constitution that before you act, before you implement, there should be public participation over something that is. There should be public participation.
Yes.
So it should, the process should take due course. Instead of jumping the gun, doing things, and then once we go to court, we are told, go back and ensure that the procedure of either an appointment or ensuring that the service delivery is done in the best way possible, there should have been, in the first place, public participation. Public participation in this case, Bonavicta, means that there is no, there should be proper oversighting over issues that are supposed to be part of governance in Kenya. There should be, we should not have anybody or any one person influencing to make decisions. Governance should be straightforward.
And Mwananchi oriented.
Mwananchi should know that whatever that has been done because we are part and parcel of it. So, because when you don't allow public participation, then you are creating a window for dictatorship, that this can be done without the participation of the Mwananchi. And now what did she say, for example, before you impeach a governor by the MCAs are the ones who impeach because through the counter assembly. Now, what about the people who elected the MCAs and the people who elected the governor? Where do they come in? Of course, one will argue that there is representation, that the MCAs represent the people who elected them. But the views of the voters could be different at that time than what the views or the issues that the MCAs have,
are raising.
that they are raising, that prompts them to, impeach a governor. So I think it should be provided in law. I don't know how it will be done. It should be provided somewhere that before you impeach your governor or you impeach anybody who is impeachable, the people who voted for these people, that is the voters, now the Mwananchi in this case, should be involved also. That window should be set. Now, it is mooted elsewhere that you can recall your MP, isn't it? Who recalls the MP? For example,
Mwananchi.
It's Mwananchi. So why can't we recall also governors using Mwananchi directly before we come to the MCAs? So I think there should be a window created in the future so that we don't create unfairness when it comes to impeachment of governors or leaders.
That makes me to think of, was the aspect of impeaching a governor more political than governance issues?
What I was saying before I finish, Victor, is that the process. What I'm saying that the Mwananchi should be involved is that there could be some incitement to MCAs also, political intrusion from other people who are interested in that seat. Yeah, there are people. There are people who could be interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Thank you very much, Victor. Before I talk about public participation, allow me to mention something on gender equality because
Yeah, go ahead.
that is something which I need to comment on. I'm actually a strong supporter of women empowerment. Yeah, because I was raised by a single mother. So I really respect women. But when we talk of gender equality, when we talk of gender, I think it's important that we know that gender means both men and women. Let us not mistake gender to mean only women. Yeah, because we sometimes our colleague female leaders play this card just to gain an advantage of the male colleagues. I think we need to have a fair ground for all of us, both men and women. And that's why in the Constitution, even in the County Assembly, where there's no 2/3, women are nominated to fill that rule. And I think it has been used across all legislative bodies. In the governorship, and I think I want to agree with the Deputy Governor from Machakos, my very good friend, on the issues of female governors. It is good that we have female governors and male governors, but you see, on the space of getting elected, people are not told in this category you must elect a woman, apart from the women rep position. Yeah. So in the governorship, or in the MP or a senator or MCA, where there's election, ladies should fight for their space. But you can't sit down and say, because I'm a woman, I want to be elected. And if you get elected because you're a woman, then don't sit down and say, because I'm a woman, I need to be protected. Yeah, you must do your work. That's why I said that in the case of Meru, and I agree with the Deputy Governor, maybe more needs to be done. I saw a case was filed in High Court in Meru. Even the Jurinje case was to be involved because it's a very big issue. If you can't work with other leaders, who do you want to work with? Look at Article 180, sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of 2010. The qualification for a governor or a deputy governor are the ones for the MCA. There's no different. You remember Sakaja when he was being taken to court on the issues of a degree. And you know, it was very clear that for a governor, so long as you qualify to be an MCA, you don't need a degree to become a governor. So we have the same qualification. But when a governor thinks that he or she is too big and he or she undermines MCAs, that is where the problem begins. So I think it's a matter of respect between the two arms of county government, the county assembly and the county executive. The issues of impeachment, Victor, I don't think any leader who is elected should fear impeachment. Myself as a speaker, I can say that, you know, when you are elected by the people, you should serve the people. Even though I agree that there needs to be some good mechanisms on how a leader is removed from office, and if that mechanism, because currently we have a mechanism of impeachment of all elected leaders. The impeachment of a governor is actually the same as the impeachment of a president. We have not heard the president complaining, but we have heard governors complaining they want it to be more safeguarded. The question is why? Do you want to get there and then you feel more secure, you can do anything you want? So as we work towards that process of getting good laws on impeachment of leaders, I think also those leaders should also appreciate that when you get into office and you feel to do your work, the next thing is being removed. But if you want to say, Victor, that you have a security of tenure for 5 years, you can do whatever you want to do, then that's where the problem is.
Up to where we are, because we're out of time. On a scale of 1 to 10, what have we done so far? Where are we? On a scale of 1 to 10?
In terms of
devolution.
Devolution?
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think in my assessment, I can say we are around 7.
You're around 7.
We are yet to reach 10, but we are above. We are above average.
Okay.
We are around 7.
Prof, scale of 1 to 10, in as far as governance is concerned.
I can say 6 over 10.
6, 7?
6 over 10.
That's not bad. So we are making strides. DG, you are directly involved. Scale of 1 to 10?
I'll say 5. And I'm saying this.
Yes.
I'm a researcher. And 3/4 of that research is in devolution, leave alone the practical bit that I'm a deputy governor somewhere. I'll tell you for sure. We are where we are because of the actions from the national government. And my take would be, if we can determine what goes to education, what goes to security sector, both military and national police service, and then the rest, the remaining budget, 3/4 of it goes to devolution, the better. We will, this country will will move so fast,
Yeah.
will transform so fast, and most likely it will provide employment even to the people from Great Lakes countries and even within Eastern Africa. It is doable. I'm saying this because I know for a fact that if you go by examples of the countries that have fully gone decentralized way, and I can name them, all of them, we saw them majorly and seriously implement and support devolution resource-wise and through supporting fully devolution. So I think even the budget we are talking about here, what is going ideally to the counties should be the one that is remaining at national level. I know the constitution talks at least 15%, but that at least 15% should be the one remaining at a national level.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I'm so happy that we are talking about matters to do with the devolution 14 years down the line. When President Mwai Kibaki raised it up at Uhuru Park 14 years ago, may he rest in peace, he had a good vision for this country, and we are all here celebrating the milestones, albeit challenges that we are facing. But Rome was not built in one day, and they say that it takes time for something to grow. I'm happy that you came on board as we celebrate 14 years, build up to next week, Tuesday, when the country will be celebrating 14 years of devolution, and you are in the front line exercising the same. But what, the person matters a lot, the Wanjiku, because service belongs to them. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. That is Deputy Governor of Machakos, Francis Mwangangi, joining me on set. Professor Tom Nyamach, who is a political and a governance expert, also joining me for the first time. Professor, thank you so much for your valid company. And Wakili Kevin Katisia, also the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui. Now, let me say this. When you are invited to a table, make sure that you attend. I have to put it clearly that I personally made a call to the Deputy Governor of Muranga, and without any apology, did not make it to the show. Now, that is not good. A poster was done, everything was done, your table was set until we had to remove your seat offset. I tried calling you twice, you did not pick up my call. That is not good. The show continued nonetheless. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Victor Lo. Good morning. Bye-bye.